that make it easier? I mean, to have something, a lot of people don't have what you have as a basketball team that you go to. How does that make it easier for you guys to all kind of handle all this stuff?
Well, we always talk about, it's a family, and I think a lot of people throw that around, and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But it's a very close-knit group. It's a connected group. They care about each other. They really like each other. We have, experienced staff. We have guys that have been here, and it's a long journey. We talk about that all the time. Starting from June until March, and there's a lot of ups and downs, both on the court and in the locker room, but also personally. We all have families and deal with that. So we're all there for each other. That's how you continue to improve, and it makes it all worthwhile, I guess, at the end.
Can you give maybe nutshell comments about Tony, Patrick, and Ben Krikke, since it's their day Sunday?
Start with Ben. He's obviously new this year, and I've said this before, but I can't imagine a more seamless transition to a program. It's one of the reasons why we focused on him out of the portal. Felt like he would be that, both on the court, in the locker room, at practice. Just an incredible young guy from a great family, hard worker, cares about winning, cares about his teammates, wants to be great. Tony, he came in here with, I think, an idea that he wanted to prove that he could play at the Big Ten level, and was thankful for the opportunity, and every chance we gave him early on, he produced, earned a starting position. Was probably one of the main reasons we won a championship that year, and has continued to get better. Great character, great family, just a very impressive guy to be around, very well thought of in the locker room. Patrick, he's been here 5 years, graduated from here, grew up here, obviously was in the gym here most of his life. I think he was in 4th grade when we got here. He's had some things he's had to deal with, but has really persevered. Very happy to see him get 1,000 points, but his leadership this year has been tremendous. I would say the same for those other two guys as well. But Patrick is a lot more vocal by nature, incredibly versatile. He gives us the opportunity to go big, to play small, but he can score, and he's a guy that really truly understands how to play the game and how to win. He's been involved here on a number of winning teams, so he knows how to win, and that has been very impactful on a number of different levels.
You've also got a 5th-year senior and a 4th-year senior being on, of course, but you don't have that a lot anymore in college basketball. A lot of these senior days are players that spent 4 years somewhere else.
Yeah, so it's a little bit unique, but 2 of the guys have been here a long time, and you've watched them grow, you've watched them grow up, you've watched them improve, and you watch Ben and you wish you had him. Wish I had him for more than 1 year, but thankful to have him for 1 year. Patrick for 5 has been a blessing, and same with Tony. And those guys, sort of set the standard for the young guys when they come in. We've got a lot of young guys that have contributed this year, but they've had great examples on how to prepare and how to work, and essentially how to win.
Can you compare and contrast Tony's mindset on the court versus just his personality off of it?
Yeah, I would say he's a pretty laid-back guy off the court. I mean, got a great sense of humor, great way about him. On the court, he's a fierce competitor, and that's kind of the best combination you would want, I think, in a competitive athlete at this level. I've enjoyed coaching him because he accepts coaching. He wants to be coached. He wants to get better. You know, he's not fighting you all the time with all the answers. That said, he's also very confident in himself, and that's what I want. So, really happy with him on a number of different levels.
As a dad, what can you say about Patrick's journey?
Well, it's been emotional. It's been heartwarming. There have been times when it's been difficult for him, but he has continued to persevere in a very professional way, and I think has the unbelievable respect of everybody in that locker room, every member of the coaching staff. And for me, I just, as a dad, just wanted to have fun. Obviously we have expectation for our players and how to prepare and how to compete, and we have an expectation of how we're going to perform, and he understands that completely. He's been tremendous in every way.
He could also come back.
He could.
Have you guys started discussing that?
Yeah, I a little bit. I think he's locked into finishing the year strong. He may come back, he may not. He has the option to go somewhere else for a year, so we'll see. We'll see what he decides.
How about
Tony
Tony?
Tony could come back.
Same with Tony. Yeah.
It seems like for much of this Big Ten season, you guys have been knocking on the door of being cohesive maybe, or just being flat out good. But the last 5 games roughly, you seem to have reached a higher level. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but why has this team sort of taken the step forward that it has?
Well, I think you always hope that your team will continue to get better. The league is as balanced as it's been, certainly since I've been here. Every game seems like it's going to be close. Not just the games that we're involved in, but the other games as well. So you have to figure out how to win those close games if you can. And we've done that recently. But I'm just proud of the fight. The season started with kind of a new group. We were thankful to have the overseas trip in the off season to kind of come together a little bit. And you typically figure out throughout the season combinations, sub-rotations that work, and we've had some guys that have really stepped up, and that's what you have to do in this league.
You said before the Michigan State game that Tom isn't retiring soon, and that you're not planning to either. Just wondering if you could expand on kind of what your future ambitions are in the profession.
I don't know that they've changed much. It's pretty much the same every year. You want to try to bring in good kids, coach them up, and make a run in a very difficult league, get to the NCAA tournament. So really hasn't changed much in 41 years.
What's your thoughts on the Dartmouth players unionizing? What do you think how it's gonna impact the future?
It's kind of interesting because I played in the Ivy League.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys aren't even on scholarship, so it's kind of a unique group to bring this forward. I do think it was inevitable because with guys getting paid, I would think that referring to them as professional athletes is not far off. For many years, we referred to them as student athletes. And unfortunately, I know at least here, our guys are still students and want to get an education. But it's a different world than it was even 10 years ago. So, I think the interesting thing there is where does this thing end up in terms of how guys are compensated and who remains at the top, or is there a differentiation with the teams at the top that are competing for championships and those that are not? will there continue to be 360 plus Division I basketball programs? I think that's a discussion that, I don't know if we know that. And we see the conference is changing, and, you know, does that completely separate as it has in football? It's probably a distinct possibility. You know, I think at that point, those guys would be left out. Being a former Ivy League athlete, I wouldn't want that to be the case, because I played in the Ivy League. We had great teams and competed well in the NCAA tournament. So I think the truth of the matter, Pat, is nobody knows where it's going to end up. Because right now, we literally don't even have any rules.
Sure.
So, I mean, absolutely, positively have no rules. Because every time the NCAA tries to govern, they get sued. And so at some point, we have to have an entity that can govern what's going on. And I think that will happen. We'll have to see what and when.
How challenging that is that as a coach, where there's essentially no rules. You can go tamper, you can go do whatever with these players.
I think if you look at it this way, Tom, I mean, doing this a while, think about the changes that I've experienced in my time. We adjust. It doesn't make it enjoyable, it doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. So we just adjust. We move forward and do the best we can with the circumstances that we have. Don't complain, just continue to move forward and make the best of what you have. You know, and we have a lot of great things to offer here in terms of a program, in terms of an institution, in terms of facilities, in terms of coaching and support. And there's a lot to be said for that. And there are obviously still young guys that want that.
This is a completely different topic, but it seems like every time you come in here, you have a different pair of shoes on, good-looking shoes. Do you put any? Are you like a sneakerhead, or do you?
I'm not a sneakerhead, but my daughter thought my shoe game was lacking. So the improvement that you've seen is primarily because of her, completely.
Illinois. Obviously, you had a taste of them recently. And you said how good you thought they were before you played them. What do you think now, having played them, just as far as what
Impressive team, big, strong, physical, multiple scorers, pretty deep. Go to his bench, obviously an established coach, really good coach. Excellent program.
It seems, I mean, I've seen at least a couple of games pre-game, you and Brad Underwood seem to be great friends. Does that go back a ways, or is that just from this league?
No, I think there's just a mutual respect there. We've gotten to know each other a lot better. I did do, he does an incredibly impressive Coaches versus Cancer event. One of the best I've ever attended. So last year, Margaret and I went down to help him with it. He asked me to help him along with Tom and Matt Painter and Fred Hoiberg. We all went down there and participated and had a great time. We also participate together in the Coaches versus Cancer event in Las Vegas. He brings a couple foursomes, I bring a couple foursomes out there. That's one of the better Coaches versus Cancer events. Lon Kruger started that many years ago when he was still coaching at UNLV, and he got access to the best courses and got some corporate sponsorship due to his contacts. And now, it's a 2-day golf event that will raise close to $2 million, which is really impressive. So, as you participate in those kinds of events, you get closer and develop more friendships. And his son obviously coached against him. Now he's on staff, gotten to know him. And he knows my boys because they played against each other. So I guess essentially that's what this business is all about.
I would ask,